Okay, today in this video we're going to be covering some more of the ProFlow floor install. Lost some of the video, but it shows how I run the wires up under the intake, and it's going to show how I make the thermostat housing gasket, which I could buy. I've had better luck making these than I have buying the ones. When I get to the end, it doesn't show me filling up the coolant, but the heater hose line is off. I'll leave it off until the coolant comes up to it. That way it burps all the air out. Just makes the job a little quicker. Okay, I've gone ahead, run the wiring up under to the bottom of the manifold. Got a lot of it hooked up. I still got some more. This is for the air temp sensor that's going to be put in the breather. Ready to put the distributor in. Kind of hard to tell, but I've got it set. On 12 degrees. Put the distributor in, since that's where Edelbrock wants it. Their distributor's marked very nicely for number 1. So when you come up, you want the rotor pointing at that number there. You've got to put a cell on in this area here. These are nice little tools. They're called, they're for putting O-rings on. I call them, they're like little spoons. You can just use it. Well, get this up there. Work it over onto where it's got to be. Now this O-ring is this O-ring's tapered. The taper goes towards the engine side of the distributor. That way, as you go to push it in, it'll roll over it and not rip it like it would if you go this way. And then to put the distributor in. Okay. Yeah, this is what will hit against the terminal on the distributor cap. So you'll aim it like so. Figure out where you want your number 1 plug wire to aim at. I want it to aim like factory would towards that. And that's all there is to it. I'll bring you back later. Okay. You can see I just took laid the thermostat housing on here, traced around it, took a pin, went down, and now I'll just take a pair of scissors and cut around the outside of it. Okay. And you can see it's pretty close to the right size. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a ball peen hammer. I'll hold this in place, and I'll take the ball peen and I'll start tapping around it to get the outline for these holes and for the housing to go in. And I'll probably just try to go a little bit smaller than the outline That way it helps hold the thermostat in. Okay, I'm back with the ball peen. What I'll be doing is just tapping it. You can see it's starting to make an indent. Doing my best to keep it from moving, which isn't very good right now. And as you can see, when you flip it over, it gives you a pretty good indent on where to do it at. I can, if you look, see on the bolt holes, I tapped that one almost enough to get it to come on out. So I'll go back and I'll set it back up. And finish tapping it. If I don't move it all over the place. Okay. It's shifted, but it'll still work. I need to clean that up just a little bit more. So I'll bring you back when I get it done. Okay, gasket's done. So now I'll put a little high-tech on one side to hold it, and then I'll get it bolted into the intake. Okay, thermostat's on. One thing to make sure of, and the reason I used high-tech, I end up using it on both sides just to make sure it's sealed good, but make sure as you're putting it in, the thermostat doesn't shift before you tighten it up. You want to make sure that it's flush top and bottom all the way around when you get it up there. If you try tightening it with the thermostat shifted out of where it's supposed to be, worst case scenario, or best case scenario, you have a leak. Worst case scenario, you break the thermostat housing and have to get another one. So it's easier just go ahead and make sure in the first place it's seated good, seated properly, doesn't have the gap, any gap around it, and then torque it down to whatever the manufacturer's spec is. And as you can see, I've got the wiring pretty well done. This is the old coil wire. Well, I need a trigger wire for the ECM and for the fuel pump under the truck. I'll be running it off of this since I no longer need it, since the all that is handled through the ProFlow computer, and it has its own wiring back here for the coil. I've just got to figure out where I'm going to mount it. I have my vacuum gauge inside hooked up. That's this line here. I'm going to have to put a hose clamp on it. This is a PVC valve. So getting to this part, I've got to run some fuel through the fuel line, make sure it's clean. Get the heater hose hook, return hose hook back up. Get the upper radiator hose on. Put my alternator back in place. Damn it. And I'll bring you back when I get ready to start it. Well, I've got everything back together that I can think of. I've got a program in the computer. I'm changing oil right now. I'm going to use a Motorcraft filter. I use Shell Rotella and everything. I've got some older John Deere lawn tractors. They've got 10 horsepower cast iron Kohler engines. I run straight Rotella 30 weight in those. And once I started that, I noticed that the lawnmowers run cooler with that than they did with the Briggs & Stratton oil that's designed for those. So I just started running this and everything. I know other people that do it, and they've always swore by it. I know a guy that used to run it in his motorcycle. Now, when I got up under here to change oil, I had to look for the valve of the plug. Okay, we're under the transmission. I don't know if you can tell where the oil's coming out up there or not, but I had to put a piece of cardboard in, or I would have had one heck of a mess, because it would have run straight down on the cross member and then run everywhere. So I just use an old piece of cardboard, slid up under there, let the oil drain on it, and it runs out and perfectly in the pan. Then the only mess I'll have to clean up is getting the cardboard out of the way. Sometimes it just, you got to be a little smarter than the engineers were.